Welcome to Alex on Autos. Now, I am unfortunately not Alex Dykes. I am sorry to disappoint many of you out there. My name is Tommy and I work for TFL Studios. Now, Alex has been kind enough to do a bunch of reviews for us over at TFL Car, so I thought, you know what, Alex? Here's a review of something very special for you. The brand new Mercedes Maybach GLS 600. Mercedes Maybach is the ultimate luxury division of Mercedes-Benz. Think of Maybach to luxury as AMG is to performance. Now this is the GLS 600, so this is the biggest, most luxurious Mercedes in the lineup. And let's take a look at what makes it special on the outside. Now, to differentiate the Maybach from the rest of the Mercedes GLS lineup, we've got a bunch of changes to the front end. A lot of polished chrome, especially down low. Above that, we have chrome venting in this kind of mesh finish, and then the grille itself has these large vertical slats. The Maybach receives different wheel options when compared to the standard GLS or the racy AMG models. This one has the 22-inch wheels, but a 23-inch wheel package is also available. You'll also notice Maybach script along the center cap. Stepping along to the side of the vehicle, you'll notice this Maybach has a polished chrome B-pillar, a little bit unusual today. And then coming to the rear of the vehicle, you'll notice the Maybach badging, as well as GLS 600 emblems. But perhaps the biggest differentiator that shows that this is something special, not just an ordinary GLS, is the optional paint, this two-tone paint. It's an $18,500 option, but it's definitely unique. The Mercedes Maybach GLS 600 is available with one engine option. It's a bi-turbo 4-liter V8. It's actually detuned compared to the one in the GLS 63 AMG. Now in the Maybach, it develops about 550 horsepower and 538 pound-feet of torque, compared to the AMG version, which develops over 620 horsepower. It's mated to a 9-speed automatic transmission, and Mercedes Maybach says it will do 0 to 60 in under 5 seconds. The interior of the Maybach doesn't look all that different when you compare it to something like a GLS 580, but it's the attention to detail that really separates the Maybach from the standard Mercedes-Benz. Every place you touch is adorned in leather. Up here on the dash, we've got beautiful stitched leather. The headliner, stitched leather. Even the sun visors, stitched leather. Then we come to the interior trim. You may find wood available in other Maybach models, but this one has something special. It's a piano black lacquer, but I love the lines they've incorporated into it. It makes it feel very yacht-like. Other things that differentiate this GLS 600 from the standard Mercedes lineup, well, you do get a tremendous number of Maybach logos here in the steering wheel, here in the center console. It displays itself on the center screens, but there's more than that. For example, the floor mats. They're almost that wool-like material like you'd find in a Rolls-Royce, really thick floor mats. It's got dual pane glass. In fact, when you close the door, it is so quiet in here. You can have people walk around you, talk to each other, and you'd have no clue they were talking. The Maybach uses a version of the Mercedes MBUX system. It's easy to use, it's fast, and it's responsive. Now, being the Maybach, you do have a number of extreme comfort options, such as massaging seats and different energizing comfort functions, which, controls the radio, controls the ambient lighting, and controls the air freshener, which is of course Maybach branded here in the glove box. Now, like other GLSs, the Mercedes Maybach version does have the dual screens, one for infotainment, one for the gauge cluster. They're almost 12 inches, and the gauge cluster screen is completely configurable. Now, a little bit of an interesting tidbit, the Maybach does have the Maybach emblems there for both the tachometer and the speedometer, but of course I can control what is displayed in the center using the touch controls on the steering wheel. It's very configurable from 4MATIC screens. You can even change the overall gauge layout when you go into designs and displays. So I can go in something called understated, and then I get a clock and just my basic speedometer, but it's all extremely configurable to all your preferences. The front seat experience may not seem all that different when compared to something like a fully loaded Mercedes GLS 580 or maybe the GLS 63 AMG. But the rear seat is really where the Maybach comes into its own. First of all, by simply opening the door, this running board deploys. It's one of the largest running boards I've ever seen. It's super, super high quality, and of course it's branded Maybach. But stepping into the rear seat is really an occasion. Now, you can't get this vehicle with a third row. The Maybach GLS 600 is only available in a 4-seater or a 5-seater configuration. And I'm actually going to take my shoes off to demonstrate some of the party features inside this GLS 600. This GLS 600 is the 4-seater, and this is the one you want for the ultimate in Maybach luxury. Now, it does feel like a business jet, especially if you're sitting here in the passenger rear seat. By pushing and holding a button on the door, that front passenger seat scoots forward, I start to recline, my leg rest rises, and I go into a flat seating position. And now you can see why I took my shoes off, because even at 6'1", I can pretty much fully extend. They also include these Maybach branded pillows, so now I can take a nap in total solitude. There is more in rear seat luxury when you start looking at the center console of the GLS 600. First of all, by folding forward this flap, we see the rear seat cup holders, a big one and a small one, and they are of course cooled and heated depending on your beverage. Behind that, we've got holders here for champagne flutes. Just behind that, we've got this wireless charging tray, and just behind that, a tablet. This tablet controls pretty much every feature in both the rear and the front of the vehicle. It of course also has heated, ventilated, and massaging rear seats, and the tablet is fully removable. Plus you can also, if you're so inclined, use it like a normal tablet with Google and email and stuff like that. Now behind the tablet, big nice padded center console and the optional fridge. This is where the champagne flutes would live, and here is what the fridge looks like, fully ready for several bottles of champagne, and we have a couple of different cooling settings on the fridge as well. Now my favorite feature back here is actually underneath the center console. It's these trays. These fold out, pivots and hinge, and now I have a work tray or perhaps a little picnic table. And then of course the Mercedes GLS also offers shades for the rear passengers on both the side windows, these quarter windows, and even the little rear windows back there, so total privacy if you want it. Unfortunately, all that technology and luxury does come at the cost of rear storage. In fact, it's pretty unpractical. You see, these rear seats don't fold down, they don't slide, they don't pivot, they are fixed in place. And then if you option the fridge, well, the fridge takes up a huge amount of capacity and it's fixed in place here as well. So what you're left with is kind of a weird U-shaped storage cubby. You do have a little bit of additional storage underneath this rear tray. But yeah, it's not really all that practical. But I figure if you can afford a $190,000 Mercedes, you can probably afford another vehicle for the trips to, I don't know, someplace fancy. On the road with the Mercedes-Benz Maybach. Now this is really interesting because I was worried the Maybach would just be a slightly squishier GLS, but it isn't. It drives very different from any other GLS I've driven. It just flattens out the earth. You can drive over anything at practically any speed and it just soaks it up. I mean, this 4-corner air suspension with E-active body control, it's incredibly soft. Dial in the Maybach mode here in the drive selector. You just lean back and it floats. It is like an old 1960s Mercedes in how it handles the road. It's heavy, it's solid, it's not sporty in the least, but it just isolates you from the world. All right, so I'm merging onto a highway here. I've dialed in a sport mode. Let's give it some beans, rolling onto it. Wowzer! That takes off with a lot of confidence. It's not quite as aggressive as the AMG. I don't have adjustable exhaust modes. It doesn't throw you back in the seat, but it's just a wave of torque as it progresses down the road. It's also really quiet. How they were able to make 550 horsepower so subdued is pretty amazing. I do really like this Maybach. How can you not? It's a $190,000 SUV. But what I like about it is it feels special. It doesn't feel like anything else in the Mercedes lineup. They've done a good job in differentiating the Maybach from the standard Mercedes. It's not just badge engineering. I mean, it's got a whole different persona, a whole different feel. The whole back half of the vehicle, I mean, it's totally different than another Mercedes. It feels special. And that's kind of what I look for when I'm driving a car that costs nearly $200,000. The Mercedes Maybach GLS 600 has a starting MSRP of $160,000. The one you see behind me comes in at $190,000. Now competitors like the Rolls-Royce Cullinan, the Bentley Bentayga, and the Lamborghini Urus are typically much more expensive than this Mercedes. So if you are in the market for an ultra premium SUV, the Mercedes Maybach is not a bad value. Let me know what you guys think in the comments section below, and a huge thank you to Alex on Autos for letting me produce this video. Check him out by subscribing below, and check out tflcar.com if you want more reviews with this GLS 600.